You're actually about to watch about a 15-minute segment of Forever Blue, which of course we do every Tuesday on XS Manchester 106.1 FM, but you knew that, didn't you? You can download the podcast every week, and it's still available, and I urge you to do that, because then you get the full, unedited 45 minutes of it. That's of course without all the other things around it. The show's an hour long, and if you go to the XS Manchester app, which is free to download, you can get the whole thing for free every week wherever you are in the world, and it's easy to download the podcast. The video version of it is a sort of 15-minute condensed version, if you like, and it was recorded, well, it went out live, but recorded as a podcast before the game at Bristol, which I was at, and obviously saw City qualify for the first of what is potentially 6 trips to Wembley in this season, this year, believe it or not, if you work it all out. It was a great game in as much as City dominated. I mean, the second goal particularly I thought was so impressive when De Bruyne made that run inside left channel, checked back, swung the ball out to Aguero, who then finished in the way that only Sergio Aguero can. Great atmosphere down there as well. I had the advantage of chatting to my mate Dean Holden, who's assistant manager, and I know Lee Johnson well as well. But in the podcast and the video snippet that you're going to see now, Paul Lake was my studio guest, and we talked to Glyn Pardo, an absolute City legend, about his grandson Tommy Doyle, who's in the under-18s for City at the moment. So sit back and enjoy. If you enjoy it, then make sure you watch the versions like this that are on there every now and again, but also make sure you download the full podcast and join us every week. You're very, very welcome.
Well, obviously, I wanted to speak to you because we bumped into each other at the under 18 game on Saturday lunchtime, which Tommy, who is your grandson, but also Mike Doyle's grandson, played. I thought he was fabulous. He's 2-footed. He's got a lovely balance about him, and he's got that an attitude. Has that come from you? Has that come from Mike, or is that just how he is?
It's a mixture, I think, Ian, isn't it? I think he's got Mike's nastiness or aggression, whatever you want to call it. He's got more my ball skills, but we both had great attitudes, so I think that comes from both of us, Ian.
You know, when I saw him running along, I don't know if this is just me putting this onto him, but I actually thought he runs a bit like Mike did. You know, that gait of his.
His build's more Mike, isn't it? He's tall, he's tallish and slim, where I was more stocky. He is Mike's build, but as I say, I think he's got a bit of both in us.
How proud do you feel sitting there watching him, Glenn?
Oh, I can't say, Ian. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. As I say, 71 and got a grandson that could play for City. It's unbelievable, mate. Incredible.
Well, Glenn, I work with the Premier League, and I work with the academy for our academy for the last 5 years now, and so I've seen lots of games, lots of tournaments, and I've seen Tommy come along, and I've seen, just what I've always liked about him is the fact that he's been so balanced as well. In terms of, he sees a pass. When he needs to be aggressive, he's aggressive, but when he uses the ball, he's intelligent, he sees a pass. I saw him recently play away at Everton. It was a tough old game, and he was the one player that was the calm and influence. And, one thing I wanted to ask you, Glyn, though, was that your thoughts, because you're a very humble guy. I mean, we know what kind of a player you were, and you were, as a great player and an ambassador for the club. But in terms of now, when you see your grandson and see players, they've got their own social media accounts, these Twitter accounts, and they're on it straight away talking about how they played. How do you feel about seeing all that? Do you actually see that?
He talks about it, I must admit, later. When he's putting his matches on, he's on the blinking phone all the time, isn't he? He's a level-headed lad. He's a leader, to be honest. He's one of them. He's a bit like me in a way like that. I think I was a sort of a leader, but not an aggressive one. And I think Tom's exactly the same. He puts his arm around them and, he controls them. And the first thing I noticed about him, when they introduce him, they walk along the line.
Yeah.
He walked along the line and he stopped at the other end. And when his lads come through, he shook every one of their hands and wished them best. And I thought, terrific. He's got it in him. He's got that leadership in him. As for his character and everything like that, you say he's level-headed and that, but I'm not saying it's down to me, but I think I'm a calming influence for him, because you know what I'm like, Lakes.
Yeah, I do.
I don't let him, I don't say a lot to him, but I wouldn't let him get carried away.
That is actually the danger, Glyn, isn't it? That because he's got Mike's name and people know his history, and I'm doing it, I'm falling for it. I'm saying, come on, Tommy, we want Tommy Doyle to come through. But it's putting a lot of pressure on him, isn't it?
Of course it is. It is, that's right. I mean, $2,000 doesn't play for City. I mean, some people see it as an advantage, but it might be a disadvantage. But as I say, I keep an eye on him and I talk to him sensibly. I don't say a lot to him, but I'll never let his feet get off the ground. Not as long as I'm living anyway.
Well, Glenn, the thing is as well is that if you think about our time in particular, and sure Terry's time was again getting to be more challenging. You know, when we played, there wasn't a big squad of players, and my competition was the British Isles. You think of Tommy's competition now is the planet. Every quality footballer now, you know, is going to be on City's radar, United's radar, Chelsea's radar, Real, Barca. So they've got such a challenge to even get to the next stage, to get from the 18s to the 23s to get out on loan, to get a good loan experience, to come back and be ready. You know, he's achieving so much and doing so well. I mean, I just feel that, you know, people try to make these comparisons, but if you look back down the echelons of time, although it was still tough to get into our first team, it's just so much more difficult now, more than ever.
I mean, I spoke to you about this on Saturday as well, Glyn. Can you believe it's 50 years since you won the title? You know, you and Doyley and all the rest of you. I mean, it's 50 years ago. I can't believe it.
No, it's incredible, Ian, isn't it, when you think back? You wonder where it's gone, don't you? I mean, it's incredible. But just going back to, you know, to Tommy and that, you know, as Lakey says there, I think it is more difficult. But, you know, he's a bit like me. I mean, I started very young, and he's following in my footsteps a little bit like that. I mean, he's captain in England under 17s now. But as I say, he's just got this tremendous temperament. Nothing phases him. He goes to the games. He's not a bit worried. What he is, get a bit sick when they get beat. He never speaks when they get beat. So that's a great attitude. But yes, as I say, it probably is a little bit harder. But he has got stronger challenges probably. But if he carries on, he's got a bit of a chance.
What do you think of this current team, Glenn? The first team I'm talking about.
We play some tremendous stuff, Ian, don't we, at times? You know, I mean, we're untouchable at times, and at other times it just worries me a bit. We go a little bit lethargic, don't we? You know, and at the back we get very, very sloppy. But yes, we're a good team, aren't we? And we must be to be top of the league. But it just worries me a bit at times the way they're a little bit lethargic. But when we play, we really play.
Certainly do. Glenn, it's absolutely a joy to talk to you. I'd love to be stood next year on the day that City win the league with Tommy in the side, because you're one of the most emotional people I've ever been in the company of, and I can't imagine what you'd be like.
No, you're dead right.
You set me off as well, Glenn, if you did.
My bottom lip's going over here.
Glenn, thanks very much for joining us. Cheers, Glenn.
Cheers.
Hey, see you later.
Take care, Glenn. See you, mate. Bye-bye.
Ta-ra, bud. Ta-ra.
The legend that is Glenn Pardo.